right. Hello, guys. So again, I'm Dr. Smith. I am the MSW director. So some of you have already emailed me about classes or about how to register or some questions regarding the program. So I recognize some names. So today we're going to try to answer all those questions for you guys. So some exciting news about our profession and where the future of social work is going. For me, I feel like social work, the future of social work has a lot to do with technology. And I know Dr. Judd just probably went off camera. I'm not sure if she can hear us or anything, but she's doing something really exciting. I really can't wait to see where that goes in the future. She's working with a robot and she's doing this project on campus right now, actually. And I don't know if she can hear us. She would be able to tell us a little bit more about where she is in the progress of that. I'm not sure if she can hear us. Let's see.
Then if you want me to say something, I can.
Yes, please.
Okay. And actually social work is being, we're being propelled into the future of technology with COVID-19 and everything. But even prior to this, I had a really strong, I'm a geek, I'm a technology geek, which is kind of unusual in the social work field. But I have a real strong propensity and interest in using social assistive robots to help out vulnerable populations. And these have been relatively popular in the Asian countries, Korea, China, and they're just now coming into the Western civilization. Last September, October, there was a robot, a social assistive robot introduced. It goes by Temi, T-E-M-I. And it's the first that's consumer-based affordable. So I purchased one. So I have my own Temi. The president purchased two more Temis for us, and then the IT department purchased another Temi for us. My collaborator's out of the IT department, and so we have a living lab with our robots. When COVID-19 happened, we were just beginning our research, and we actually got propelled into using some of the robots. My robot is in an assisted living facility up here where I live, and it's able to use to connect the residents with their families through some video conferencing. We are linking with individuals out of New York who, as you know, were really impacted with COVID. We are creating an alliance with Caring Kind and with Connected Living, who is now the official Temi distributor for aging, and they have a whole suite of software, and they've put the Temi robots into a variety of assisted living settings up there. So we're conducting research with them, and we've been working to use the robots at the university. We put 2 robots in our isolation dorm. Thank the Lord we did not have to use them. We didn't have to isolate anyone over the summer. But we're going to be integrating the robots into the testing center and the student service center because they help with social distancing. Students will be able to access accounts with them. But they're also really cute, and they have little personalities because of the artificial intelligence. So that's my area of research, and I'm really excited as to where it's moving. And I think social work is just we're at the vortex of being able to move this type of research forward and really change the outcomes for those that we work with. So that's it. You don't want me to get to talking too much about it because I'll talk all day.
How cool is that though, guys? I feel like that is so cool, especially in social work. Nobody expects like social work to have exciting things like that. So I think that's like the coolest thing ever. Okay. All right. So today we're going to just kind of discuss the program, how classes are set up, some of the process that you need to go through, some of our policies and things like that. So you're here today to meet the requirements for the graduate school for our accreditation requirements, and to also help you get consistent information. As an incoming new student, we want you all to get the same information rather than some people get one type of information, and then the next time someone else gets a different type of information. So having an orientation and presenting the same information to everyone helps make sure that you all get consistent information and that we're sharing the same thing with everyone. So a little bit of information that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about our School of Social Work. We're going to talk about specifics of the curriculum. We're going to talk about the graduate school and our department policies and what our expectations are, and some miscellaneous information. So the A&M School of Social Work, we're located in the College of Education and Human Services. We have a BSW program, and then we have the MSW Foundation and the MSW Advanced. So this semester, both are generally our MSW Foundation that you guys are in, that's completely online. This semester, we're doing all our MSW programs online, just because of COVID-19 and what's going on. So next semester for spring, we're gonna take a look at that and evaluate the situation and see if we're still gonna have everything online or whether we're gonna offer face-to-face. That's gonna be decided next semester. But as far as foundation courses, which you guys, if you are full-time, you're gonna have 2 semesters of foundation classes, and those will definitely be online, okay? The MSW program, like I said, is offered online right now, but we also have a fully online program that you can be in as well. So as a foundation student, your program is completely online. However, in the future, when you move to AGP, if we have face-to-face classes, you would be able to switch over to face-to-face. But if that's what we have available. But again, like I said, we have a completely online class or online program as well. All right, so the mission statement for our program is that the Texas A&M University Commerce School of Social Work Masters of Social Work program is to educate professional social workers from an advanced generalist perspective with the knowledge, skills, and values to be visionary leaders and change agents who will utilize and develop resources to improve the lives of people in a global world. So we are accredited by SACS accreditation, and we're also fully accredited by the Council on Social Work Education. So the Council on Social Work Education is the only accredited body that is approved for social work programs in the US. So we're fully accredited by them. And you may be wondering, well, why is this important? This is important because this means that you're getting the best quality education. So any social work program that is approved by CSWE or is accredited under CSWE is offering the best education possible. Another reason why this is important is because in order to get your licensure, once you complete your MSW program, being accredited by CSWE is the first step for you to be able to get that licensure. So if you go to a different school where they're not accredited by CSWE, you wouldn't be able to get your licensure. So another important reason as to why it is important. But again, attending a program that's fully accredited by CSWE just lets you know that you're getting the best standard of education possible. Here is a list of our social work faculty. Dr. Rebecca Judd, you just met her. She is our department head. Mr. Brian Brumley is our field director. You probably won't meet him during the orientation today, but whenever you get ready to go over to your field, which is probably next semester, you're doing your field, you will get to meet him then. He will talk to you about field, the process for field and how you go about doing that. And then we have Dr. Openshaw, Miss Lindsay Norris. She is the BSW director. So you probably won't have as much contact with her as far as classes because she teaches BSW. You may have classes with Dr. Brunel, or Ms. Hernandez, Dr. May, Dr. Mercado, Dr. Moore, Ms. Nelson. She usually teaches over at the Mesquite campus. But like I said, with everything online right now, it's a possibility that you may still have her. And then myself, I also teach in the MSW program as well. So these are our professors, and sometime in the future, you'll probably have most of them in a class. Here are two of her staff. Ms. Vicki Anderson, she's the Department Administrative Associate and Field Coordinator. And then Ms. Janice Circles, who's our BSW and MSW Admissions Program Coordinator. Some of you probably already had emails from her, or probably you should all have had an email about orientation, sorry, about orientation and things like that from her. So you'll be, she also works with the Title IV as well. So you may have interaction with her through that. Miss Vicki Anderson, you'll also have interaction with her in terms of field. So later on, when you get ready to go into field, you'll probably be getting emails from her and be able to interact with her in terms of anything related to field. Here is how to reach us. Our main line is on here, as well as our web address. Mr. Brumley, again, here's his direct line. Ms. Anderson, myself, if you need any questions, like right now, most of us are not in the office currently, but if you leave a voicemail, we check our voicemail. Email is the best way to contact us currently, but you can always leave us a voicemail and we check those later. All right, so now we're going to talk a little bit about the curriculum. And you guys are in the Foundation Generalist Program. So with the Foundation students are students who don't have a BSW degree, or you may not have a BSW degree from a CSW accredited program. And let's see, my photo is kind of in the way. There we go. All right, so you're only eligible to apply part-time if you start in the spring or summer semesters, but you can do full-time if you start in the fall. So you guys are starting during the fall semester, so you're able to start full-time if that's what you want to do. Our foundation students have a 2-year program. If you're doing full-time, taking 4 classes each semester, then it would take you 2 years to complete the program. It would be 4 years if you decide to do part-time, where you're only taking 2 classes per semester. So the foundation track is 24 hours plus the additional 36 hours that you need for the AGP concentration, which totals 60 hours to graduate from the MSW program. So, and I think I mentioned this earlier, but we got approval starting in the fall 2019 to have a fully online program. And so now we also offer the fully online MSW program, but like I mentioned as well, all foundation courses are online. Here is a schedule of what your courses would look like. So if you are part-time and you started in the fall, you would take 2 classes your first semester. So you would start off with maybe 501 and 511, which is the small groups, and the HBSC 1. And then the spring of your first year, you would take 2 classes as well, 503 and 513, your community and your HBSC 2. And then summer, you would also take 2 classes, which would be your practice in mental health, and you'll take an elective, and that would complete 1 year. Then the second year, you will take 2 again, 531, which is your research, and 541, which is your oppressed populations. And then spring, you would take the 521, which is the foundation social welfare policy, and then you'll take your first field, which is your foundation field. And so that would mean a total of what? 5 semesters. So the thing with this, if you're only full-time, that's how your classes would be spread out. The other thing about that is if you happen to miss field, which is 553, that 1 semester, for some reason, let's say you couldn't take field, that would mean that you wouldn't be able to advance to your AGP classes yet, because you can't take advanced classes until you complete field, okay? So the best thing is to try to keep on schedule. If you are full-time, then you would take 4 classes, and it would take you only half the time. So if you started in fall, which you guys are all starting in fall, you would be taking these 4 classes. So you would be taking your 501, 511, 531, and 541. So those, you should be taking all 4 of those if you're full-time. Then in the spring, you would be taking 503, 513, 521, and your 553, which is your field. And then the summer, you would be able to take your 510 and your 597, which is your elective. So again, like I mentioned before, it's best to stay on track with your schedule. Just know that any changes that you do will affect your graduation. It will affect how long it takes you in the program, because the way our classes are stacked, we offer fall classes only in fall. Some classes, most of the classes that are offered in fall are not offered in spring or summer. So if you miss the fall class, then you wouldn't be able to get to that class again until the following year fall. So if you're part-time, that's why it takes longer, okay? So if you're full-time and you're taking all 4 classes in fall, you don't have to worry about that because you've taken them all, okay? So think about that if you're currently part-time, but then you want to switch to full-time, which if you are currently part-time, you wouldn't be able to switch to full-time again until you probably get to AGP, because like I said, you wouldn't be able to complete all your required classes before you get to AGP, okay? So here's the thing that you've been waiting for. So registration information. All students must be permitted to all of our social work classes. So each semester, you never have to worry about, is there going to be a class for me? Are the classes going to be full? No, they're not going to be full. We base our classes, or we're going to create however much classes we need in order to meet how many students we have. So you never have to worry about if you're going to be in a class or not. So we know what classes we offer in the fall. And once we know how many students we have, we can decide how many of those classes we need to create, right? So you never have to worry about that. However, you have to be permitted. So after orientation, you guys are going to go into the 500 shell. You got information about that earlier today or earlier. So you'll go into that, and then you'll get the 3 documents that you need to fill out. And we'll talk about that a little bit more in the end, but you'll fill those out, and that's how you will email Miss Janice Circles, and that just shows her that you've completed orientation, and then she's going to provide you with the permit, which is the exact numbers that you need for a specific class. So also, one of those things are going to be your degree plan, and your degree plan is going to have basically that schedule I just talked about. You're going to pick whether you're part-time or whether you're full-time, and based on whether you're part-time or full-time, it'll have the schedule of when you take those classes, okay? And that's how you can keep track about how or what classes you're taking each semester, okay? So once you fill those out, you will email those permits to Miss Janice Circles. Here's her email, and again, once you go into that and get the actual document, it should have it there as well, but here's her email, and most of you probably already have it because you've received emails from her, but you would email your request for permits to her, and she'll look it over, and then she will send you the permits. Any questions so far about that? Or are we good in terms of how the classes are offered? Any questions about that? Or we can also wait at the end if you would like. Okay, so our MSW Degree Plans is basically your guide for the program, okay? That degree plan, and we tell students this every orientation, but for some reason, I think they just don't hold on to it. So when you get your degree plan, once you go into the 500 course shell, you will download that degree plan, you'll have to sign it, and then you'll email it to Miss Janice Circles. So basically, the degree plan has all the classes you have to take and when you're gonna take it. You should hold on to a copy of that. Keep that with you throughout the program, because that way in the summer or next fall, you don't have to worry about what class do I need to take. It has it on your degree plan. So if you keep that next semester and 2 semesters from now, you can always go back to that and see, okay, I've already taken these classes. These are the classes that I have left. And you'll be able to email Ms. Circles with your request for permits worksheet for the specific classes that you need that semester, and then she'll send it to you, okay? Any changes, like I said before, any changes that you make will delay or alter the completion of the program and your graduation. So for example, let's say you started full-time. Well, that means you will complete the program in 2 years. However, if you started full-time, but something happened, let's say next semester, and you're only able to take 2 classes next semester. Well, if you do that, that means that now you're delaying graduation, you're delaying how long it's going to take you, because remember, spring, those classes are only offered in spring. So if you miss just 1 class in the spring, you won't be able to take that 1 class till the following year spring. So you're adding an extra, extra time to that. And the thing is with your foundation classes, if you haven't completed all foundation classes, you're not able to take advanced classes. So that means that you'd have to wait till the following spring rolls around for you to take that 1 class for foundation that you missed to be able to move on to the AGP classes. So it's very important that if you have a timeline that you want to be finished by, that you stick to the degree plan and make sure that you try to complete those classes during that time. All coursework on your degree plan must be completed or in the final semester process before application for graduation can be processed. So your very final semester is when you would be able to apply for graduation, okay? So if you're full-time, 2 years from now, that final semester, you can apply for graduation. Or if you're part-time, 4 years from now. If you need to make changes, let's say you're full-time right now and then you need to move to part-time, or you're part-time right now and next semester or down the road you decided to be full-time. Any changes that you need to make to your degree plan needs to be requested 1 full semester prior to changes. So let's say in the spring, let's say you're taking full-time right now and you know that in the spring you're going to have to take full-time. You need to email me this semester requesting changes for next semester, okay? So any changes to your degree plan, you would contact me. Here's my email at the bottom of this PowerPoint. Email me with any questions regarding your classes or your degree plan, anything about the program, you're welcome to email me about. But especially anything related to your classes and your degree plan, any changes that you intend to make, please make sure you email me. That way I can know what your plans are and also be able to give you advice as to whether that's a good idea or not, or just to make sure that you have all the required information to be able to make the best decision possible, okay? So degree plan could mean any variation or any changes that you've made since you first signed it. So today or any time after this orientation that you decide to download the degree plan and sign it and email it, any changes that you made after you signed the original plan, then I would need to know about those changes, right? If you decided we don't have to worry about location right now because that's online, but if you change from part-time to full-time or full-time to part-time, or if you have to retake a course, or if you need to defer a semester, anything like that, once you know about that, you need to go ahead and email me so that I can be aware and we can make those changes to your degree plan. It is your responsibility to stay on track with your degree plan. Like I mentioned before, keep a copy of it. Once you download that, you can email it. Once you email it, you should still have a copy of it for yourself. And I would save that on my computer, save it so that you can have it, so you can keep track of it. You know, that helps you stay on track, and it helps you to see, okay, these are the classes I have left and I still have to take this. Or if you fail a class, or if you missed a class for some reason, then you can see on your degree plan, oh, well, I can't move on to this part because I haven't done this yet. Or I failed this class, so I have to retake this class. So your degree plan is a good way for you to be able to see how you're progressing throughout the program. Here is a calendar of our fall schedule. So our last day to register without any late fees for the fall semester is August 21st. August 24th is it's summer, but it's actually fall. Okay, so for some reason, I was working on this PowerPoint and I thought I changed it to fall, but for some reason it says summer. I'm sorry about that. The dates are correct, but it says summer, but it should actually be fall. So August 24th is our first day for fall classes. September 11th is our census date. December 4th is our last day of classes. And then December 7th to 11th is our finals week. And then graduation for the fall is December 11th. However, you guys don't have to worry about that because you just started. So we're not worrying about graduation, but here are the dates that that relates to you this semester. So first day of class, August 24th, and then our last day is December 4th. Okay, so we're gonna talk a little bit about our program in our graduate school policies. Okay, so you can't get a grade of C or lower in field classes. So all your field classes, you have to make at least a B, okay? You have to have a GPA of a 3.0 to graduate. So if you have a 2.9 or a 2.7 or 2.5, you can't graduate. So make sure that you keep track of that as well and make sure you keep a GPA of a 3.0, B or higher for field classes. If you fall below the 3.0, then you're placed on academic probation and you would have to raise your GPA back up to a 3.0 or higher by the end of the next semester that you're enrolled. If you receive a C or lower in 4 graduate courses, you would be suspended for 3 years. So you're only allowed up to 3 C's. If you get 4 C's, then you would be suspended for 3 years. So in the graduate program, you have to maintain a GPA of a 3.0. Okay, so expected conduct in the school, in the graduate school. So we follow the NASW Code of Ethics as a social work student. Social service, social justice, relationships, dignity and worth, integrity, competence, all of those things. We follow those. You guys will have a copy. You can download a copy and you'll have to sign that you read it and agree to follow those policies. Class attendance, once classes start, you'll probably get more information in terms of how attendance is going to be reviewed. Participation in terms of attendance is appropriate verbal and nonverbal interactions with others, active involvement in your class activities, and attentiveness. As an MSW student, acceptable behavior and interactions with others inside and outside the classroom, having courtesy for your instructors and others, respecting respect for your instructor and for others, and seeking and responding appropriately to when you get written and verbal feedback from instruction or from your instructor or from others. Your expectations for electronic communication. So expectation of professional, respectful communication is also relevant for your electronic communications, emails, text messages, social media. Just remember that, you know, as a student, you have to think about what you're posting on social media as well, right? As a social work student and as a student at A&M Commerce, your social media kind of reflects you as a student as well. Another thing about that is your emails, communication with each other, communication with your instructors. I've received several emails constantly from students where they would address me by my first name, or they would just ask a question, no, they don't even address you. Those are things that are not very professional, right? So just remember when you're addressing your professors, make sure that you're professional and you're being respectful in your communication with them as well as communication with your peers. As students, you guys are preparing for a field and you're preparing to go out and work in the professional field. And so now would be a good time for you to practice those things. You guys are eventually going to go do your field internship. And again, these are things that you would have to practice as well, being able to communicate with your field supervisor in a professional manner as well. Also, as an MSW student, you have to think about your academic dishonesty. Don't do it, right? When it comes to academic dishonesty, don't do it. There's a graduate school policy on it, and we also have a department policy on it. So basically, if a student is caught cheating or plagiarizing, that would not be a good thing for you, okay? We would have to report it to the graduate school, and then the graduate school can, depending on what it was, students have gotten in real big trouble because of it, okay? So just don't do it. As an MSW student, you're also preparing for a field where ethical behavior is something that we value, okay? And if you're cheating in the classroom, what makes us think that you're not going to cheat in the field, right? If you're not being honest about doing your own work and things like that, when you go out in the field, what makes us think that you're not going to lie on reports, or when you're working with clients and things like that? So it just kind of shows what you do in the classroom. How is that going to be any different than when you're working on the field? So again, like I mentioned, social work is a profession where ethics is valued, and so integrity is also valued. And so make sure that, you just don't do it, right? When it comes to electronic devices and communications, this is more for students in the classroom, making sure that they keep their communications on silent mode and things like that. And then in case of an emergency, make sure that you kind of communicate with your instructor ahead of time, letting them know that you may be getting a call or you have an emergency, so you need to leave your phone on or things like that. But that would be for face-to-face class. We don't have to worry about that in an online class. Here's some information on students with disabilities. So if student needs to request accommodation for disabilities, they must go through the Academic Support Committee. And here's some information for the Director of Disability Resources and Services that's located in the library, room 130. And here's their phone number. So if you know that you're going to need to request any type of accommodation, make sure that you reach out to the office first, and you will provide information to them, and they will inform the instructor as to what the accommodations need to be. So don't just email your professor and say, I need extra time on tests, or I need whatever accommodation is that you need, because the instructor wouldn't be able to do anything that way. The instructor would have to get that letter from the Office of Disabilities before they can do anything. So instead of coming to the instructor first, you need to make sure you reach out to the Office of Disability Resources and Services, and they will provide that letter to each instructor that you have that semester to let them know these are the accommodations that the student should be getting. Here is the university services and resources. The university homepage, the website, the MyLeo website. I don't know if any of you have logged into MyLeo yet, but here's the website. This is where you're gonna have, you're gonna log into this for your classes. You can log into this to register for classes. You would be able to drop classes through here. So MyLeo is where you're gonna get to do all of your things for this program. Here is also a website for the library for you to be able to access any resources that you may need for your classes, for research, or for anything else. In terms of cost, This was the most recent cost available on our website. It's for 2019-2020. If you're a Texas resident, it shows the 2-year rate plan, and it also shows for each credit hour if you decide to do different. So full-time students are enrolled in 12 hours each semester, which would be about $4,254 plus your books and parking. Again, if you're only taking 3 credit hours, it would be $12.98. If you're taking 6 credit hours, it would be $22.94. In terms of that, we also have the web address for you to estimate your own tuition. So you can go on that link and you can put in how many classes you're taking, and it would tell you specifically what you would be paying that semester. Here is information for financial aid. So their phone number, their web address, fax, and also their mailing address. They're located in a one-stop student access success center. There's their website as well. If you have any questions about financial aid or the process or any questions for them, you would need to reach out to the financial aid directly. We don't have any information on that, so I wouldn't be able to help you with that. So any questions related to financial aid, you would need to reach out directly to their office. All right, so you guys are not doing field orientation yet because you guys are not doing field this semester. But in the future, you would be hearing from Mr. Brian Brumley about field, which will be sometime next semester when you first do field if you're full-time. Okay, so now that we went over the orientation, you will need to locate the content area in basically the first email we sent out told you or gave you information about the Social Work 500 that you had to register for, right? So when you go into that class, you would have the 3 documents that you needed to download, which is your orientation acknowledgement form, your student code of conduct form, and your degree plan. So you're gonna need 3 different documents. And as far as your degree plan, you're gonna pick whether you're part-time or you're full-time. And you only fill out the one for if you're part-time or if you're full-time, okay? And that would give us an idea of what your classes would look like. So when you do your degree plan, if you're only part-time, it'll have the classes in order of how you're gonna take them, what semester you're gonna take them, okay? So once you, sorry. Once you download those forms, you're gonna sign those and then you will email those to Ms. Janice Circles. And once Ms. Circles gets those, then she will begin the process to give you permits for your registration. I guess the way that works is you'll download those, you'll send it to her, and then she'll send you a worksheet for you to fill out. The worksheet is gonna be a request for permits. And the worksheet would be where you would put down the classes you're taking. So if based on your degree plan that you already downloaded and signed, that's why I said keep a copy of it. So once you do that, when you get the worksheet, you'll be able to look at your degree plan, pick those classes that say fall 2020, pick those classes that's on your degree plan and put it on the worksheet and email that to Ms. Janice Circles. Once she gets that, she'll email you your permits and then you'll be able to register, okay? All right, any questions?
Do you think that you can send a copy of this PowerPoint presentation, please?
Yes, we are posting this in the 500, the class that you have to log into to get the 3 documents. So you'll be able to have access to it and review it.
I just uploaded the documents into the 500 class, the one you registered for the orientation class. In the announcement section, there's a link. You can click on that link and it'll take you to where those documents are. So you can download those, sign, complete them, and then you can email them back to Janice Circles. And that is also where we will put this PowerPoint up. Once we get through here, we'll upload it there and you'll have access to it.
Can you talk a little bit more about field and what that entails?
I will if you want me to, Dr. Smith.
Sure.
Field, and actually what will happen on into the fall semester is there'll be a field orientation. Mr. Brumley, we will schedule it. Again, it'll probably be virtual. We'll schedule it and Mr. Brumley will talk with you at that time about it. But to just give you a rundown on it, let me start my video back here. To give you a rundown on it, field practicum or internship, we tend to use those terms interchangeably. Council on Social Work Education refers to it as a field practicum. It's an experiential experience that is required to earn the degree. For the foundation, you do it in the spring semester. It is 160 hours, if I remember right. And you do that in an actual agency. Mr. Brumley works with you on locating an agency and helping you get placed at an agency. We have affiliations right now with over 400 different agencies. So he works with you on that. We use a software program called TK20 in the semester, but right before you're going to be going into field, we will let you know you need to purchase the TK20 software. It's like $120. It's a one-time purchase. That is how we manage all of the field experience, the paperwork and and your application for field and all of that. So that'll be explained to you and you'll be given that information. In your field practicum, you will have a learning contract and a learning plan, and these are activities that you'll engage in that demonstrate competencies. Once you get through with your field practicum at foundation level, then you're ready to move to the advanced generalist practice or the advanced concentration level. And in the advanced concentration level, you will do a second field practicum experience. And it's going to be like 500 hours. So we're working on getting it to where you could do it in 2 semesters, 250 hours one semester, 250 hours one semester, or you could potentially do it over 3 semesters. We're still working that out. But you would do the 500 hours at an agency, an approved agency, usually works out to maybe a couple of days a week throughout the semester that you would actually be physically there doing things that social workers do so that you can learn the actual practice aspect of it. You have a field liaison, and so you actually enrolled in a field seminar. In the spring for foundation, you'll enroll in Social Work 553, which is the field seminar portion, and you have a field liaison, which is one of the faculty who oversee that. And then at your agency, you have a field instructor. So you're in a class and then you're also at an agency for that field portion part. That is, Council on Social Work Education and even all of us practitioners feel like that is a cornerstone component of the educational experience. That's kind of where the rubber meets the road. And that's where you take everything you've learned in your classes and you begin to apply it in the real world. The good thing about that is I don't have a percentage, but I'll say a high percentage of our students are actually hired by their field placement agencies. If they enjoy the work and if it works out, a lot of students get hired by them. It also gives you practical experience and some networking, and it does help you find jobs. If you are in an agency, if you are currently working in an agency that provides some aspect of services that a social worker would do, with some extenuating circumstances, you can do your field practicum at your at your employment, but it has to meet certain requirements, and there's a form that has to be completed. But basically, if I'm working at Domestic Violence Shelter ABC, and this is my role as an employee, if I'm there as a field practicum student, I have to have a total separate role, separate job description, and separate supervisor because it has to be a learning experience. It can't be my job. So we do have several students that are in agencies that are large enough to accommodate that, but that's on a case-by-case basis. Is there other specific questions y'all have about the field experience?
Do we get to pick our field placement?
Yes, you have input into it, absolutely. Mr. Brumley relies on you heavily. During when he does the orientation and then you're asked to complete the field application, you actually list 3 different agencies, 3 different geographic regions that you want to work, and then that helps him know where to facilitate your placement. As our program has grown and we have students now, I mean, we have students even before now, but we've placed in Austin, Houston, we have students all over. So he likes to get with you, and if you have an agency that you have contacts with that you're interested in doing, then he helps you facilitate that. Anything else about field?
And so can
Just
we,
to go ahead, David.
thank you. And I'm sure we'll get more information. I'm just trying to plan as far ahead as I can around, you know, my work, because I work full time, or I hope to continue to work full time. So even for the spring, is it like a couple hours a day? Is it, how's that typically work?
It's usually about a couple days a week. It's can be up to about 16 hours a week. You're going to, in the spring, we're going to have like 15 weeks in the semester, and you're going to have to complete, isn't it 160 hours, Dr. Smith?
Yeah.
For foundation? Yeah. So you'll have to complete 160 contact hours over the course of those 15 weeks. We have few, very few, but we do have some that have some flexible hours in terms of on weekends or evenings. And while there may be agencies that provide social services and social work services during that time, they don't always have the administration and the supervision there that's required for the field practicum. But we do have a few agencies that provide some flexibility in that. Moving forward into the spring, we just don't know what's going to happen at this point in time with the COVID-19. So far, all of our students have been able to be placed at agencies, and through a combination of actual on-ground, face-to-face delivery of services with some virtual aspect, they've been able to meet the required hours. Then the one thing I was going to say and make clear, you do your field practicum in your last semester for foundation. Field practicum for foundations is always in spring. It's always in spring. And it's the last semester that you would be completing your foundation courses, because if you're part-time, it may not be this spring, it may be next spring. But it's important to realize, because every year we have 1 or 2 students that we get, there's confusion, and either we haven't communicated well or they haven't understood well, is you have to complete all of your foundation courses before you move to the advanced generalist program. So like when Dr. Smith was talking about going from part-time to full-time, full-time to part-time, it's really important to talk with her about that if you're changing your degree plan, because it could disrupt your progression through the program. And it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. You just need to understand the consequences of those decisions, because you cannot move into advanced generalists until you've completed your field practicum, and that's done in that last foundation semester.
I have a question.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So for the field, in the spring, like I'm currently looking for employment now, and I'm worried like that in the spring, the field placement could thwart my employment. But I'm also wondering, like, what if is it possible for the field placement to spill over into the summer, or no?
Not for foundation. Now, okay. I'm going to say under traditional circumstances, not for foundation.
Okay.
What we have done, what we were faced with the pandemic, is we actually did do some extenuating circumstances where students needed a little extra time to get those hours. See, Council on Social Work Education says you have to get the hours, okay? We have to figure out how you get those hours. So under the perfect world and the normal circumstances and no pandemic, yes, you have to complete the hours in that one semester prior to moving to the next semester. Okay. But given the unknowns that we have, I'm not going to say that's an absolute. Okay. Because if there's interruptions and if there's difficulty getting the hours, we actually did some extensions. In field, we don't award incompletes, meaning that you need extra time to complete the course or whatever. Again, with the exception of this pandemic, we did make some of those accommodations. So I can't give you, and what I'm learning and what you guys are going to learn, and I'm so sorry, is we just can't say it's going to be this way for, it's this way and no way, and that's all it is. This stuff has been changing on a daily basis. I think it's finally stopped. It doesn't change on an hourly basis now, but it still is changing on a daily basis, honestly. So we do our best to keep you informed on things that are going to impact you.
Thank you.
Okay, I was gonna look at the chat and see if there were questions. Somebody asked, what if I start part-time and then decided to do full-time? That is fine.
I answered all of those.
Oh, okay.
I think I've answered everything as they were coming up.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure I did. I just answered directly back to the person who asked the question, so it's not for
okay.
everyone. But I did. If you put a question in the chat and did not get it answered, go ahead and shout it out now. Or if you can think of another one.
Okay, so for those who work full-time, how would the classes operate? So would there be evening classes, or is there like a standard time where classes will be held?
Right now, all the classes are 100% online.
Okay.
So what we look at is there are opportunities to engage in synchronous, live interaction. Most of the time, the faculty who is teaching that class kind of polls the people in the class to see what's going to be available, because we know that if you're taking an online class, you've got other things going on. And so then there's opportunities for asynchronous, which is the asynchronous discussions where it's not actual live happening at that time, or you're going to go in and you're going to watch pre-recorded PowerPoints or pre-recorded lectures and do things like that. So there's some flexibility in it. Okay. But what we're moving towards is we do want to offer as many opportunities for everybody to get online and meet together as possible, because we are a profession that develops human relationships. Right. So we don't want everything just to be asynchronous, but we really are struggling with allowing it to be as flexible as possible. So at some point throughout there, you'll be able to engage in real time interaction with other human beings, other fellow students, and your instructor. So all that's to say is in the online portion, it's not a set time, set date, set class meeting time. Okay. Okay. When and if we move back to a face-to-face for those who like face-to-face, then we do have set days and times.
Okay.
Okay. That's what I was going to ask about, because I work for the state, and during the 8 to 5 hours, generally I have to be concentrated on cases I'm working on. So that's what I was going to inquire about. Also, the flexibility of me being able to do some things during work because of break time and lunchtime, and what I can do at night.
Yes. And I think most of the faculty, and Dr. Smith can say this too, because those of us who have taught with the online, we recognize that. I did some of mine on Saturdays. My synchronous meetings were on Saturdays or in the evenings. So we get with everybody in our, whoever's in our section, our course section. I like to send out a poll and say, what are the days and times that are best for you? And then we will usually offer a couple times during the week, maybe on the weekend, maybe in the evenings or something like that. So you can sign in and have that interactive component too.
Yeah, I do the same thing. And maybe I definitely don't have any meetings before 6 o'clock. So it would usually be 6 or 6:30 that evening. I figured by then people who work 9 to 5 should be available. So it'd be either in the evenings or maybe Saturday morning. And then they're always recorded. So if for some reason you just can't make it, you can always go back in and listen to what we discussed and all the questions and everything that we talked about in that session.
We were having a conversation this morning because we're really trying to determine ways to make sure that we can offer those engagement opportunities. You can't be a social worker if you don't have human engagement. And it's challenging, and it's extra challenging right now, but I think we're working really hard to be able to do that. We've come up with some technological solutions, the flexibility in the hours, you know, being able to engage at different times. So hopefully we're going to be able to do that and provide y'all plenty of opportunities to have real-time engagement.
I have a question. It's been so long since I've bought textbooks. Where would you guys recommend buying textbooks through that is reasonably priced?
A lot of our students, when you go onto the main website and it has the schedule of classes, there'll be a link there and textbooks are listed for what the textbooks you need. A lot of our students rent them. You can rent them now. You don't necessarily have to purchase them. I will say if you go through the bookstore, they're going to be more expensive, but they were supposed to start renting them. Do you know, Dr. Smith, that they started renting them through the bookstore?
I'm not sure, but I think I've seen it in the past where they did rent them.
Well, they did rent them. Amazon, you know, the different ones, just wherever you can find them. We try very hard to keep our textbook costs down. You know, a couple of our classes, we actually kind of gotten away from the textbooks and we use other open source type things like that. But wherever you can find them to rent them cheaper, just, you know, use the online sources or whatever. We don't have a magic bullet for it.
Miss Judd, I was going to let her know I graduated from SFA in 2018 and I rented a lot of mine from Chegg.com and they were cheaper.
I've heard of that one. Yeah. Thank you.
A lot of times there's no point in like buying them unless you really, really, really need them. I mean, I have a lot of mine from the MSW program, but a lot of times it's cheaper to just rent them and then just return them.
You said tag.com?
Chegg, CHEGG.com.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I also know with Amazon, I rented and I purchased several. And if you return them within a certain time frame, they refund you your total purchase.
Yeah. Yeah. So those options are there.
But also a suggestion, since we are interested in being social workers and this is an actual field that you want to be in, it's good to rent books, but you're going to need these books at some points whenever you're out there in the field working. So you are able to pick and choose the books that you want to keep.
Yes, and that's a good point, Jasmine. Thank you. And I was going to also mention, once you graduate, you're going to be faced with taking the licensure exam. You know, books that have theory in them, theory doesn't change. You know, theory is pretty much the same. It's not going to change. Cognitive behavioral theory has been the same forever. Behavioral theory, the theories aren't going to change a lot. And you can get a lot of those open source off the internet and things like that. Your clinical books, you know, that really provide skill applications, group, you know, things like that. Those you might want to hang on to as reference books and as reference books for when you start studying for the test. Okay. So that's an excellent point, Jasmine. And she's right. Pick and choose the ones that you want to keep. I'm a research nerd, so I kept all my research books. But in my classes, I tell students, Dr. Smith, cover your ears. I tell them they don't have to buy the book because research is research is research, and you can get most of the stuff open source. You know, it's going to be the same no matter what book you use. It's, you know, some of the terms are a little bit different, but the concepts are the same.
Hey, this is just for research.
Do what?
This is just for research, guys. You still have to buy your books for the other.
I know. And that's just for Dr. Judd's class. So that's, I'm not saying for anybody else's.
Any other questions?
Can you reiterate? Can you reiterate on the advisement and of the classes? We have to choose our own classes. We don't get. Can you reiterate on that?
So each semester we offer certain classes. Like fall, we're going to offer only classes that are offered in the fall. They're not offered in the spring. So right now, everybody's concerned about fall classes. Whether you're part-time, you're going to take 2 classes. If you're full-time, you're going to take all 4 classes that are being offered in the fall. So once you go into the class, the 500 orientation class, you'll download your degree plan. And if you're full-time, you'll pull the full-time degree plan. And your classes will already be lined up in terms of fall, spring, summer for 2 years or for 4 years. No, 2 years because you're full-time. It'll have the classes already in order for fall, spring, and summer, and then fall, spring, and summer, okay? And then, so basically all you'll do is sign it and email it to Miss Janice Circles. And then, so basically what she'll do is she'll send it to me and I'll sign it showing that you agreed to do full-time and this is what your classes are gonna look like. And so basically your classes are gonna be on your degree plan so you know exactly what classes you need to request permits for. I mean, if you're still confused and you have questions, you can always just email me and I'll email you back and say, these are the 4 classes you need to request, or these are the 2 classes you need to request. But yes, all your classes are already set up for you on your degree plan, and you shouldn't have to pick anything different than what's on your degree plan. But just email me if you still have questions about those. Did I answer your question?
Yes, ma'am.
The program is very streamlined. You'll have 1 elective. All the other classes are required. We do have classes we only offer in summer, so you have to go during the summer. So the elective is really the only choice you have. We offer online electives. We have human trafficking, we have gerontology, and we have social work and the law. We have those 3 right now. We have study abroad. This was the first time in 10 years I've not been able to do study abroad. I had a very hard time with that. We've taken over 130 students for study abroad. Mr. Brumley and I do it. It is our elective under a normal year. And right now, United States citizens pretty much aren't welcome in any country, but under a normal year, we go to Costa Rica over the May Mini. We actually have a 9-day trip. We have 7 days in country, 2 travel days. And we stay at what's called the Soltis Center, which is the A&N Systems Research Center that's in the Children's Rainforest outside of La Fortuna, Costa Rica. We learn about the interaction between human development and the ecological systems, but we also visit school systems, the substance abuse system, the prison system. We visit aging facilities. There's a lot of cultural experiences. We go up a volcano. We have, we go to a coffee plantation. So it's a trip that we've been doing we've been taking students since 2013. It is jam-packed full. It's an amazing trip. The cost generally is around $1,600. You have to enroll for the class. Tuition is separate, but then the actual cost for the trip is around $1,600. That's airfare, ground transportation, hotel, a lot of the meals. And then our global office provides a $1,000 scholarship towards that $1,600 for students who want to engage in that. This year, we were set up to go to Romania for the first time. We had done the exploration on that and we had engaged, and we were going to be meeting Texas State School of Social Work in Romania and engaging in some research with them and visiting the social systems, Transylvania, because I don't go to Romania unless I get to go to Dracula's castle. So that was on the trip. Previously, we have been able to go to Cuba 3 different times. Before this current administration, we actually were developing strong relationships in Cuba. I am praying with all my heart that we get to start that again next year, and I just don't know. It is an amazing experience. It's very affordable. We keep it very affordable for our students, and wow, it's really life-changing when we get to go. So that is an elective, and my fingers crossed, and I'm on my knees praying that we'll be able to do that again next year. But whew, it was tough this year. Brian texted me on the day we should have been flying out. He said, we should be on a plane getting drunk right now. And I said, oh, I know. No, he didn't say that really. But yeah, it's, we've been, like I said, we've been doing that for 10 years, and we had bumped it up. We were doing a trip over May Mini and a trip in the summer. So we were taking 2 trips a year and taking students. We have the premier program at the university for faculty-led study abroad. We are the example. So hopefully by the time you guys have 2 years coming, so hopefully within the next 2 years, we're going to be able to do that again, and you'll get to participate.
All right, any other questions?
I'll tell you something else we'll do, that Social Work 500 course. It's only new students for fall who are in there. And I can go in and actually set up a discussion place. And if you guys want to use that to interact right now until you get into your classes to ask questions or seek clarification or something like that, you could do that also. It's nice to start building that peer relationship as soon as possible to help each other out. And you've already done that here, so you guys are going to be a great bunch. We can do that inside that 500 course too. And just set up a discussion section for you so y'all can ask each other questions or for resources or for assistance or whatever.
And I have a question. Are most people working full-time while going to school full-time, or part-time working and then full-time school? Or I'm just curious.
We have a mixture. We will be very honest with you. Full-time work and full-time school, it's been done, but we won't guarantee your sanity at the end. There is absolutely nothing wrong with going part-time because you have to work. I mean, that's okay too. The education's always going to be here unless you have some financial limitations. And some of our students who are on different scholarships or who have different funding sources have some different, financial limitations in terms of how long they can take to get their degree. But a lot of our students opt for part-time. A lot of our students start full-time and they come back and opt for part-time. This is a graduate program. It is very extensive. You're preparing to be practitioners. We're preparing to put you out in the world to impact people's lives, and we take that very seriously. So it's not a hop, skip, and a jump, and it's hard to do. So there is absolutely nothing wrong if you end up choosing to go part-time. There is no shame in that whatsoever. I personally think it's a better option because you're not just checking off a block to get your degree. You're actually engaging in the process because you have time to engage in the process and you're not so overwhelmed. Because the most important thing is your health, your physical health, your mental health. If you guys are not physically, mentally healthy and not able to take care of family and yourselves and things like that, how are you going to do that for clients?
Can I add to that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so when I was in school at SFA, I worked 2 jobs full-time, went to my field practicum full-time, and I'm a single mom. And it was the hardest thing. I cried almost every day. So it is definitely best to listen to her. If you have to work full-time, like I will, so that's why I decided to do part-time.
Sure.
I started grad school in 2018 and withdrew because it was just overwhelming. And so I would just advise, if you do have to work full-time, just think about your mental health for sure, because it is definitely hard. And I know SFA program was really hard. Ms. Judd, that's why I asked you about a thesis, because it was very, very difficult, and I'm so grateful this does not have a thesis because it was.
We're a non-thesis. Yeah, we are non-thesis. But you know, we have high standards. I have high standards for the students. You guys are going to be representing my profession, our university, our program. You're going to be impacting the lives of the most vulnerable in our society. And oh my gosh, social work right now is so much needed. We need good, strong, well-prepared social workers, boots on the ground out there right now. We need it bad. So we're going to hold you to that standard, and we're going to help you get there. And but it's not easy. It's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. It's not easy. We're a very proud profession, and we're a very proud program. You've been accepted into the best program in the area. I promise you that.
No thesis, but comprehensive exams, right?
We have, you will have to take a comprehensive graduate exam before you earn your degree. It's taken in your last semester. We help prepare you for that. We provide study books and things like that. It is set up to mimic the licensure exam. So it is set up, we're not saying it has the same content and the same questions, but it is formatted and administered the same way the licensing exam is, to help you prepare for that. So we have, yes, every semester we provide the comprehensive graduate exam. That is a graduate school requirement, and we chose to model ours after the state licensure exam to help you prepare for that.
Thank you. That's awesome, because I have yet to pass the BSW one. I've struggled. I don't know what it is. I've just struggled.
We started this process in 2020. So what, 6 years ago, 2014, something like that. We started the objective exam process. It's computer based, and since we've done that, our overall passing rates at the state level have gone up.
Quick question about licensure. So after we complete the program, we graduate with a master's, then is there mentoring time, additional field work, or can you immediately apply for your licensure?
You can immediately apply for your licensures. When you graduate, when you earn your social work degree, you have a social work degree, but you're not a social worker yet. You have to pass the licensure exam to be a social worker in the state of Texas. So once you pass the graduate comprehensive exam, we provide a letter to the state that says, we think you're good to go, and you can go ahead and schedule your test. Once you take your test and pass your test, you're still not a social worker because they have to verify your degree. So the state verifies your degree's been conferred and you've passed the test. And then when you get in the mail, you get your license, then you're a social worker.
Is there like a, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you can go ahead.
Jasmine, go ahead.
I was gonna say, is there like a course to prepare for the test that you'll offer, or is that only outside resources where they offer that?
There are outside resources that are optional. Our prep class for the comprehensive exam also entails prepping for the licensure exam, and Mr. Brumley provides that. Lisa, you had something?
Yes, I had a question about access to the instructors during the course. Since, like you stated, during the daytime, some of us will be working. And then how much access will we have once we actually look at what the course may have as curriculum? How much access would we have, or do we need to send in requests or any questions we may have during the daytime, and then response will be at night?
It's going to depend on each individual instructor, but what I will tell you overall, I know from my classes, I set up a virtual office, and you can put in questions in that, and I check it, between this time and this time, 8 and 5 during the week, and I have my virtual office hours there. We will also schedule times to meet with you. We can schedule, phone calls. most of the time, email is the best way to get in touch with your faculty member or your instructor, unless they set up something like I do. I prefer that my students within our courses post anything related to the course there in my virtual office, because it's easier for me to keep up with, because I lose it if it gets into my email. But each instructor has their own style, and we'll share that with you.
And for
So is graduation, oh, I'm sorry.
no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Is graduation contingent upon passing that comprehensive exam? Like that's before
ma'am.
graduation? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And is there an opportunity to retake, say, if you don't pass it your first,
Yes, ma'am.
or will that postpone graduation?
We provide 2 opportunities in the same semester. This semester we administered it last Friday, and we have a little less than 50% coming back this Friday to take it again. If you don't pass it the 2 times in the one semester, we petition the graduate school. You have to take it the next semester. You don't have to enroll in any more classes, but you can't graduate. So the next semester, you would just take the test. And usually, and we've had some students that have had to do that, but what happened is that semester, no more classes. All they had to do was study for the test, and they were able to rock it out. So you have 3 attempts to pass the graduate comprehensive exam to earn your degree.
Thank you.
And so for financial aid, is financial aid only offered for full-time students, or could part-time students get financial aid?
That's going to be a question for financial aid office, because basically at the graduate level, you know, Pell Grants and things like that are not available. So it's like through student loans. There's some other things that are available right now through the financial aid office, through the CARES Act. There were CARES Act monies that came through. If you go to our main website, if you've been on it, the very thing that opens up, there's a banner at the top, and it says, you know, you can click on there to see if you're eligible for any CARES money or anything like that.
Okay.
But the financial aid office, once you're enrolled, typically they will send out the packages that's available to you, or you know, once you've been accepted into the university. And again, they work really hard to try to get the funds that are necessary for everybody to be able to continue with their education. So anything specific to the financial aid, I can try to hunt it up for you, but I'm not as versed in it as I would be if I worked in financial aid. So they're the ones who really are the best ones to answer those questions.
Okay.
The only thing I know too from past students as well is that whatever financial aid you are able to get, if you're part-time, you have to take 2 classes. So you wouldn't probably
6 hours.
less than 2 classes for part-time. And then I want to say 12 hours for full-time.
Okay.
Other questions?
You was stating that there's like a portal or something for the students to interact and share resources and things like that, and just
when you registered for Social Work 500, which was the orientation class, it created when you go into your MyLeo, there's a D2L app. It's D2L. That's where all your classes will be located. You click that on, and you're going to see the 500 level class. And when you click on that, you go into it, and I put the paperwork in there that you need to complete to send to Ms. Circles. We'll put the PowerPoint in there, and then we'll also create a discussion space so people can get in there and interact. So it's like a real classroom. We just do it for the orientation standpoint, because we have to have you, it's a technicality, we have to get you registered into something to get you into the system. And so we do that. So that's where it is.
How much group work is required in this program? I'm curious.
It's going to depend on the courses. It's going to be, there's I think Dr. Moore teaches 501, and I don't remember if there's some group work in that or not. I know when you get into the advanced generalist part, there's 507. That's a community class, and that has some substantial group work. Of course, 509, which is your group's classes, that's going to have group work. Off the top of my head, I can't remember specifics, but there's group interaction type work. We don't have a whole lot of group work that where you turn in an assignment type situation, but we do try to incorporate ways for you to learn to work with group dynamics also too within that. So individual classes have different requirements, but we do have some that are going to be heavy in group requirements.
All right, any other questions? All right, so everybody knows what to do next.
Desmond, did you have a question?
Yes. So basically, you know, there are different, I don't want to say categories, but genre, I guess, of what career we can go into, like the different individuals. But I guess, is that basically just the individual's choice and in the age group or the group that they want to work in, basically?
Absolutely.
But do we learn about all of them in a sense?
Yes. And actually the word you're looking for is different populations. Okay. It's populations. Because we're an advanced generalist practice program, you're going to get exposure to lifespan across the lifespan from children all the way from, from birth to death. You're also going to get experience and knowledge and skills to work with individuals, to work with families, to work with groups, to work with communities, to work with agencies, policy. So you're going to get exposed to the breadth of what social workers can do. As any setting that provides any type of human services, you're going to find some aspect of social work in that setting. So social workers are in schools, we're in criminal justice, we're in the political realm, we're in hospitals, we're in long-term care, we're in domestic violence shelters. I had one student who came from TWU, and she had done her undergraduate field practicum at a veterinarian's office in helping families deal with grief from losing their animals. So there's social workers, we're going to pop up in a variety of places that you may not even think about. So that's what I love about the profession is if you choose to go counseling or you choose to go psychology, you're very much pigeonholed, but we're diverse. And the advanced generalist practice allows you to take that knowledge and skills and then hone into any population you really want to work in and work with. So you may work 5 years with the aging population and decide, I've had enough of this. It's nothing to flip over and go to work with children or to work in domestic violence or to work, and you're going to find that these things are very much also interconnected. So even though you're working with the aging population, they have grandchildren, right? Or they have great-grandchildren. And so you're going to be working with those dynamics. So that's what's so fascinating and fabulous about social work is we impact the human condition at all levels. And it is up to the individual as to what you want to do. So everybody ready to go? Everybody ready to rock it out? All right.
All right, don't forget, log in and download those 3 documents, fill them out, sign them, and then email it to Miss Janice Circles so she can get you started on your permits.
Okay.
All right,
Welcome to the program. Look forward to having y'all. I'm doing the research, just saying, okay? So I'll see y'all. We'll talk robots. How's that?
Thank you.
All right. Y'all have a great day.
Bye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Bye.
You as well.
Bye.